How's it, guys? I've got a little present in my hand here for you guys.
We're getting new laptops
No,
or
No.
iPads.
not the iPad. Well, you can have this one. It's a bit cracked and doesn't work. Like half the screen doesn't work. But no, it's not new laptops or new iPad. But it is the Springbok squad
Yes.
for the test against Argentina. Quite a biggie. A must win, as they call it.
Must bonus point one.
So with the squad being
Bonus
released
win.
today, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm surprised at the changes. So flipping the front rows and then making no other changes is quite interesting for me. I think Russie's basically said to the guys, like, you are who I expect 90% of you are going to take us through the big games in the World Cup. So you're responsible for the All Blacks, and now we're gonna take responsibility one step further and go and win the game in Argentina. So quite interested. I think I might have made one or two more changes. I'd really like to see Marcel Coetzee in the mix, but he will play, as far as I understand, he'll play for the second game against Argentina, which is next Saturday, and then Japan. I know the guys will probably get more of a look in, but yeah, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't change a few more or didn't tinker with a few more players. But I think he's got the strongest front row. Starting this test, I thought they were brilliant against Australia. Last week's front row didn't do it, or not last weekend, weekend before, against the All Blacks. They didn't do badly, but I just think that this front row outperformed them quite easily. So I'm quite glad to see them having a go again. Be interested to see if that is the strongest front row too, or the taking us forward in the next few weeks. Marcel, yeah, interested to see. I'm actually quite surprised that Peter Steff gets another game, because just player management wise, I really thought this would be the game that we give him a rest.
He can't play against Argentina and Japan after the second
Well, he
game.
technically
Second game.
can, but
Well, he shouldn't.
But he shouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that is
Look, he's probably just being played just because we really want to win this.
I think so too, and I think that's the reason why.
I'm sure if we do maybe manage to wrap it up early, maybe they'll look at taking him off.
Yeah, I thought maybe the other one would have been Eben in a way, because he's also played two, and he's travelled. He travelled from South Africa to New Zealand. I thought maybe this is the time he gets the rest, but obviously we're looking at it as a must-win. So,
But Evan's also fighting for more match fitness. Remember, he had an
Yes,
injury
he
and then
did,
he had
yeah.
another layoff afterwards. So
I just don't want him I
break.
don't want to wrap people up in cotton wool, because it's not the right way to do it. But I also just don't want people to play unnecessary in the situation. So I think those are the only two players I'm really worried about when it comes to not just fatigue, but just breaking. We don't need them to break. And other than that, I expected Herschel not to start again, because he had a great game against Australia. He came off the bench. He's clearly shown he can be an impact off the bench now as well. The centre pairing they did well, but I thought there might be one or two changes there.
yeah, I still think that Delendi and are premier midfield pairing. So I'm happy to see them play a little bit more together. I think Faf and Willie both didn't really put a foot wrong too much against the All Blacks. So they're probably playing again to get a little bit more bit more of a vibe going. And then Colby, our best player against the All Blacks by far, I felt, and he deserves to stay there. Really, still quite worried as to what's going to happen with Sibu Nkosi and Colby come World Cup time. Like, you definitely have to start Colby, and Nkosi doesn't deserve to have been dropped in any way, shape or form. So I'd like to know how that's going to work out. And then
probably Pimpy's the other one. He's played three now.
This will be his third in a row.
Yeah. He's probably the other surprise that he's playing another one.
I want him to play because I really think he's better than what he than what he showed against the All Blacks.
Fair enough,
And I think, and I'd really like to see them start releasing him a little bit more into space. So if we can work on that, we can do that against the Argentinians. They're not going to shut us down and stop us spreading it wide. They don't mind us spreading it wide. So our wingers, I feel, our back three are going to have a lot of work to do on defense and attack.
Yeah, I have no issue with him playing. I just thought that if we've got how many games? We've got 3 games after this one for two after this one for the first World Cup game. If we're going to try and stretch the squad as much as we can and give everyone a bit of a run, I was just surprised that he gets 3 games in a row. But then again, Pieter-Steph du Toit gets 3 games in a row, which
or 20
or 20 games in a row. So yeah, I just think I'm happy, but I'm just surprised that some guys are being worked that's much harder.
So that's my issues. I wouldn't have minded the bench changing a little bit, or alternatively 1 or 2 other changes. So Pieter-Steph du Toit, I can understand why he's there, but I really need him to have a break. Like I can't. I'm talk about it all the time, so it's nothing new coming from me. But I just thought Vincent Koch, I wouldn't have mind seeing him, especially because Malherbe last week against last game against the All Blacks, Nyakani really doing well. I thought Koch could have got a better look in. But in terms of Kitshoff and the Beast, as our Lou said, it's like that's done and dusted. You're going to rotate them and whatnot. And I thought Malcolm Marx was relatively... He wasn't under par or undercooked or anything like that. He just wasn't his usual lively self.
Yeah.
But we're in a really good space that if he didn't perform, Kwacha was there to perform, and so it wasn't missed too much. If we didn't have a fetcher there to do all that work, then Malcolm Marx being quiet will really hurt us. So I think we're in a decent space, and I think Marx is the kind of guy that he's now on the bench, and he might take that as personal insult, and he's going to come on and smash people on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's probably, for me, that's the only other thing. I think Malcolm's under a bit of pressure, not his overall game, but I think his line out. He's been shown up by a better hooker when it comes to line out time. And we always talk about basics when it comes down to we need props that can scrum, hookers that can throw the ball in straight, jumpers that can catch a ball. And I think, like you say, I hope Marx does take it personally because it's an extra little bit of fire in the belly, and that means when he comes on, he's really going to smash people, or he's really just going to be, you know what? Let's simplify my game a bit. Let's make sure that I'm doing the basics right and doing it to the best of my ability, and then he's probably going to be the Marx of it all, though.
But it's quite controversial, but like I've quite a few conversations with people about Malcolm Marx, and they're always like he's the best hooker in the world. I don't think so. Like he might be the best rugby player, but he's not the best hooker. So he struggles with lineouts, and then guys will turn around and say, listen, look at Super Rugby, he's hitting the high percentages, but he's done Super Rugby high percentages at lineouts for 2-3 years in a row and done well. In a Springbok jumper, he does struggle, and that's an issue for me. He's a great rugby player, he's not necessarily the best hooker, and that's where we need to decide what we want to do. Are we happy to miss 2 or 3 lineouts
for everything else it gives us?
Yeah, or do we want to really tighten up? And historically, we are a tight 5 hooking nation. So we are a John Smith, a tight 5 player. We're not a Skulk Brits kind of a setup where we have a loose. We've never had a loose hooker. So Malcolm Marx actually covers both those bases in terms of that he is a tight 5 hooker. He offers a lot in the loose, and he just needs to work a little bit more on the actual hooker side and more the line out side. Yeah. But he does have more sits in the line out, and more sits very handy. There's only one guy better line out than him. Outside of our side, which I reckon would be Sam Whitelock. I think a couple other guys that come close, but I think Morsett's really good. He does come under pressure against the All Blacks, and they've been teammates for a long time, so hopefully when Marx comes on, Morsett will still be there and they can fix that this week, because we're going to need those lineouts at the end of the game.
I think that's where we're going to scrum time and line-out time. I think that's where most of our pressure is going to come down to. Funny enough,
we're going to scrum them with our starting front row.
I know most of the times that I know people are wary of the loose trio that the Argies have picked this week, but I always bank our Lucy's against them.
Matera, Issa, and Desio.
When we're on fire, when you got Dwayne, the likes of Dwayne, you got the guys like Kwacha's playing this week again. Okay, Peter Steph. I still think they smash them when it comes to comes to that part of things, where we could struggle, and we know where we could struggle. Scrum time, line out time, because if they put pressure on that line out, and the Argentinians are probably on a par with us in terms of their lock quality. They have depth and they've got quality. So 100%. I think that's possibly also why Bongi's starting. You want to hit those percentages are higher.
I think scrum wise, I think we've got them. I think in the loose with us playing Kwacha Smith, I don't think they're quite loose to a Springbok side with that type of a flanker. But to be fair, Malcolm Marks always covered that role for the last 2 years. So maybe it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah, I agree.